Hello dear friends, welcome to Saturn in House 12, Part 2. In today's video, I'll mainly talk about the various aspects that Saturn sitting in the 12th house will cast on various other houses of your birth chart according to Bhrigu Nandi Nadi astrology. Definitely I will also use certain, principles of Parashari astrology. Do subscribe to my channel, and if you want consultation, my number is there in the video description. Friends, Saturn is sitting in the 12th house. Please watch part 1 of Saturn in house 12. Now friends, last time I wanted to tell you one thing which I had forgotten. There is one concept of Viparit Raj Yoga. Viparit Raj Yoga in Parashari astrology. That is, Saturn is sitting in the 12th house. The 12th house is regarded to be a Dusthana, that is a malefic house. Now, there are 3 such malefic houses in the chart, 6, 8 and 12. There is a rule in Parashari Jyotish that if the lord of a malefic house sits in another malefic house, then a Raj Yoga is formed. It is called Viparit Raj Yoga. So if the Lord, we have to also see Saturn is the Lord of which houses in the chart. So if Saturn is sitting in the 12th house, being the Lord of the 6th house or 8th house or 12th house, then this Raj Yoga will be formed, which is called Viparit Raj Yoga. For example, if Saturn is the Lord of the 6th house and Saturn is seated in the 12th house, then what will happen? Being the Lord of the 6th house, Saturn will again now be in charge of, all the matters of the 6th house. Say, for example, disease. Okay? Now, Viparit Raj Yoga. Viparit means opposite. That means certain circumstances will be created in your life. Certain difficult circumstances the native may have to face. But because of this Raj Yoga, Saturn will help you to come out of that adversity, that situation. Yes, and will give you relief. That is, if say Saturn is the Lord of the 6th house and seated in the 12th house. 12th house is also the house of hospitalization. And Saturn is the Lord of the 6th house. So the native may have some disease. Okay. Say the native has some problem due to which health problem. The native needs to be hospitalized. And say some surgery is required. Then, Saturn will enable the native to come out of that problem, health issue, miraculously. It happens. Recently I saw a chart, during this COVID pandemic, the native, she needed a surgery, a gynecological surgery. And the hospitals, where she lives, they did not even have a proper surgeon. And it was very difficult for her to find a doctor, to find a surgeon. But then, some miracle took place. And because there was strict lockdown at that time. It was in the month of April. There was strict lockdown. But from nowhere, suddenly one surgeon, joined a particular hospital. And the surgeon was not supposed to join. But the surgeon joined. And she was operated and she came out of that, health issue. And she was totally cured. Even in the midst of the lockdown, strict lockdown during the COVID pandemic. So this is also, you can say this is a sort of miracle. This is Viparit Raj Yoga. Because the 6th Lord is in the 12th house. Even her family, they had given hope. They thought that maybe, it'll be impossible for them to find any treatment for her. But she was saved. So friends, if Saturn is the lord of the 8th house and sitting in the 12th house, then also Viparit Raj Yoga, and 12th lord in the 12th house will also create this yoga. So friends, now 12th house is also the house of escape and transport. Escape from the real world and seeking refuge in the world of imagination. Yes. The first house signifies worldliness, and the 12th house, it signifies otherworldliness. The first house is very earthly, very ephemeral, but the 12th house is ethereal. It is heavenly, otherworldly. That is why, even spiritual union with the divine power, which we call God, is also seen from the 12th house. Even that sort of astral travel is seen from the 12th house. Yes. Astral travel is seen from the 8th house also, and also, as a result of that astral travel, the final union, that is seen from the 12th house. So yes, even astral travel, any kind of transport, that is why, leaving your country and going to a foreign land, or leaving your native place and going to a different foreign place. So that sort of travel and transport, that is also seen from the 12th house. Yes. Now, 12th house. 12th house is also, as I told you, the house of isolation and confinement. Yes. 12th house is the house of intuition, strong intuition. If Saturn is the lord of the 5th house, then also the native has strong intuition. And also, if the native is a Capricorn ascendant or is an Aquarius ascendant, then also the native will have strong intuition. It is seen. Yes. So Saturn in the 12th house, gives the native the power of intuition, provided Saturn is well placed. Saturn is in a friendly sign, or is in its own sign, or is in its sign of exaltation. Then definitely Saturn will give better results. And if it is not under any malefic influence. Now friends, let us go to the aspects quickly. Saturn's first aspect that I have discussed in part 1, it will fall on the 12th house. Whatever we see from the 12th house, Saturn can restrict that. Yes, Saturn can restrict all those matters also that we see from the 12th house. And like, for example, 12th house is the house of sleep. So some disturbance in sleep. Yes. It is also the house of spirituality. So some delay in moving towards the path of spirituality. But eventually, if Saturn is in good dignity, the native will move, because Saturn is also the planet of detachment and non-attachment. So after the age of 35, 36, he will have an inclination towards spirituality. He should have, if Saturn is in good dignity. Otherwise, again, if Saturn is not in good dignity, there will be some obstacles on your path, and you will not be able to move, towards spirituality. So 12th house, foreign travel, some delay in foreign settlement and all that. So the first aspect will fall in the 12th house, and that I have discussed in part 1. Today we'll talk about the other aspects. Saturn's second aspect will fall on the first house. First house is the house of your personality. Usually, if if a native has Saturn in the 12th house, no, the native is a little secretive by nature. Now, being secretive is always not bad. If Saturn is not in good dignity, the native may be secretive. He will isolate himself from everyone else, and he may be engaged in, some maybe even antisocial activities. No, that is negative, the negative side of a malefic Saturn. But otherwise, being secretive also can imply, if Saturn is in a friendly sign, for example, then the native is usually, if you have Saturn in the 12th house, is a little secretive. That is, the native doesn't like, because Saturn doesn't like to show off. Saturn is the planet of isolation. Yes. And it is also sitting in the house of isolation, 12th house. And so it is casting its aspect on the first house. So such a native will not like to, reveal his or her personal life to everyone. They may not like to post every update about their personal life on social media. They may not like to do that. Yes, friends. So they want that privacy. Yes. So people will think that, oh my God, first house is your personality. That is how people, perceive you also in a way, because that personality is visible. 12th house is the subconscious, unconscious. It is not visible. The subconscious state of mind is not visible. First house represents the conscious self. So it is visible. So people will think that this person is very secretive. People will have such a conception that he is very secretive or she is very secretive. So friends, that may be because they want to maintain a distinction between the private and the public. Anyway, so friends, what I was telling you, that they will be a little, they might be a little aloof from society. Yes, if Saturn is in good dignity, then they might be engaged in research. They might be deep thinkers. Why, people will think they are a little aloof, and they may remain a little aloof because, their mental wavelength may be a little different, because they are philosophers. If Saturn is in good dignity, they are deep thinkers. Yes. And so, they may even love to be isolated, and they may like to meditate. Yes. So they may have all these qualities which Saturn has, or they will have great analytical skills. They will also be, if Saturn is in good dignity, then Saturn's second aspect is falling on the first house. They will be very disciplined. They will be very disciplined, very hardworking. Yes, their work will be their life. You can say that. Yes, and friends, they will be very just. They will believe in, speaking against injustice also. They will have compassion for the poor and the unprivileged, for the old and the sick. They will have compassion, and they will also be helpful towards them. Yes. And friends, if Saturn is in good dignity in the 12th house, then the native, will be, he will value time. Yes, the native will try to be punctual. Yes, and will be very organized, very organized. Yes, all these good qualities. If Saturn is not in good dignity, friends, then what will happen? Then the native, may be very skeptical about everything, about everyone, maybe. He may be in the habit of doubting others. He may be a little lazy, and he may always criticize others. This also we can see. Then he may not be hardworking. So if Saturn is not in good dignity in the 12th house. And friends, he will be, very judgmental. Yes, and he also will be a little pessimistic. Negative thoughts, may disturb him. So all these things we can say. Yes, and he may be even deceptive. He may deceive others. So that also. Now friends, let us go to Saturn's third aspect. Saturn's third aspect will fall on the second house of wealth, accumulated wealth. So there will be a little delay in, accumulating your wealth. You'll be able to do that after the age of 35 or 36. And he will do that if Saturn is in good dignity and if the native is hardworking and diligent and disciplined and patient. So then only you can accumulate your wealth. Otherwise, again, there will be difficulty for the native to accumulate wealth. Second house is the house of speech also. If Saturn is in good dignity, the native will say whatever is right and just. He will not speak in sugar-coated language. He will believe in being to the point and speaking what is right and just. And as a result of that, he might end up hurting other people's feelings. It might happen. And also he may be a man of few words. If Saturn is in the 12th house, its third aspect is on the house of speech. He may speak less. He will not be very talkative. Especially he will not talk much to outsiders and strangers. He will have a lot of reservation because he wants to analyze that person first. Only then he will talk. So he will be reserved and he will not be much talkative. Yes, that also we can say. And also he may also be in the habit of spending less. He may not be very extravagant. He will spend economically. That also we can say. And if Saturn is not in good dignity, then the native may even be in the habit of telling lies. He may deceive people with his speech. That also we can say. Then his relationship with his family members will not be good. He will be distanced from them, physically, mentally. He may live very far away from them and he will be distanced from them. If Saturn is in good dignity, the native, initially he may not get along well, but eventually after the age of 35, 30, 36, the native will definitely, maintain a good relation with his family members. So either from the very beginning onwards only, the relationship will be good, or after the age of 35, definitely the relationship will improve. Now friends, let us go to, and also third aspect is very important for profession, friends, in Nadi astrology. Second house is also the house of speech. So there is an indication that the natives, because Saturn is primarily the significator of profession, the native's profession may have to do with speech. Yes, either he may be a public speaker, he may be a motivator, he may be a teacher. Yes, he may be a social media influencer. So speech, speech will definitely play a role in his profession. That also we can say. Yes, and from the second house we also see bank and all. So he might work in a bank also. So his profession may be related to the second house. That also we can say. Yes friends, and also if Saturn's third aspect is there, so some restriction will be there in the native's food intake, because Saturn is the planet of restriction. Some restriction will be there. He may not be able to eat anything and everything. So some dietary restriction will be there. Usually it is there. And the native's eyes also, friends. He may have some eyesight problem. He might have some problem with his eyes. That also we can say. Or a weak eyesight and all. Now friends, let us go to Saturn's fifth aspect, which is a trinal aspect. It will fall on your fourth house. That is the house of the mother. Trinal aspect in Nadi astrology. The native, if Saturn is in good dignity, will be very dutiful towards the mother. And the native's mother also will be very disciplined and will be very organized. And also after the age of 36, the native will be able to build his own assets. He will have his own house and all. Definitely. All assets that we see from the fourth house, he'll be able to build them after the age of 36. Some lack of mental peace may be there in his life. That may be there. And he will, try to, come out of that state of, you can say, restlessness, mental restlessness. He will strive his best to find peace. and that will happen maybe after the age of 36, after the native attains a certain level of maturity. Otherwise, Saturn may restrict the native's mental peace. If Saturn is not in good dignity, friends, then what will happen? The relationship with the mother will not be good. The mother may have health problems. Yes. Then if Saturn is not in good dignity, then also you can say that the native may not be able to build his own house. If he is not hardworking and diligent and patient, then it will be very difficult for him to have his own house and all. Obstacles in school education also may be there. Now friends, let us go to, and also lack of mental peace will be there. Let us go to Saturn's next aspect, that is Saturn's 7th aspect. It will fall on the 6th house, 7th aspect. So there is a strong indication that the native's daily routine, daily routine. If Saturn is in good dignity, the native will follow a certain daily routine, or at least the native will strive to follow a proper daily routine. But if Saturn is not in good dignity, especially if Saturn is with Rahu, or if is under the influence of a malefic Rahu, then the native will not be disciplined, will not follow any proper daily routine. As a result of this, that his health also will be impacted negatively. But friends, Saturn's 7th aspect is on the 6th house of enemies. Saturn will restrict all kinds of enemies. It is true. 12th house is also the house of hidden enemies. 6th house also enemies. So Saturn will restrict all kinds of enemies. That is seen. But if Saturn is afflicted in the 12th house, then even the native may have a poor health, and the native may even have to escape from his enemies, and he may have to go to some foreign land in order to escape from his enemies. That will happen if Saturn is afflicted. Otherwise, Saturn will restrict all enemies. Even Saturn will restrict the diseases. Yes, even if the native has some disease, Saturn will restrict that and will slow down. I mean, the disease will not be it will not be a very serious one. Saturn will limit it. It will minimize the impact of the disease, because Saturn is a planet of restriction. That Saturn will do if Saturn is in good dignity. The native will be health conscious. So obviously he will be able to even if he has some disease or some illness, the native will be able to deal with it successfully. He'll be able to come out of it eventually. Otherwise, if Saturn is not in good dignity, then especially under some malefic influence, and if the native is not disciplined also, and not at all disciplined, then what will happen, friends? Then he may suffer from a long-term illness also. Yes, and also Saturn is aspecting the 6th house of loans and all. So Saturn may restrict the loans also. Now friends, let us go to and also if Saturn is in good dignity in the 12th house, 6th house is also the house of service, even social service. The native may have, especially after the age of 36, he may have a tendency to serve the unprivileged, the poor and needy, because it is also sitting in the house of the house of donation and charity, 12th house. So if Saturn is in good dignity, then over time, after the age of 36, the native may have a strong desire to serve the weaker sections of the society. That is seen, and he will be engaged in charity. Yes, and then Saturn will give the native even better results over time. Now friends, Saturn's 9th aspect, trinal aspect, is on the 8th house. So Saturn is also the significator of houses, buildings, construction. And Saturn's aspect, 9th aspect, trinal aspect, is falling on the 8th house of joint assets. So the native will be able to build his joint assets. If the native is able to improve his Saturn, then definitely the native will have more than one house or flats. He will have, he may have more than one house of his own. So if Saturn is in good dignity, and joint assets, he will build, his joint assets with his spouse after marriage. That also, over time, he will definitely be able to do that. Yes? And he will own property. Some inheritance also. Saturn will delay that inheritance that he is going to receive, but the native will inherit some property also over time. Definitely. But yes, after the age of 36 or 40, the native will inherit some property also. That also we can say, especially after marriage, or say after the age of 36. And also 8th house, is also considered to be a malefic house. So all the negative things that you see from the 8th house, all kinds of losses, accidents, sorrow, pain, suffering, diseases, Saturn will restrict all of that. From the 8th house also we see all kinds of ups and downs. Saturn will restrict them also. 8th house is the house of death. Saturn will restrict death and will bless the native with a long life also, if Saturn is in good dignity in the 12th house. Good dignity is in a friendly zodiac sign, or you can say in a good sign, in a good nakshatra, or at least if there is no malefic influence on Saturn, then we can say Saturn is in good dignity. Then friends, let us go to Saturn's 10th aspect. 10th aspect will fall on the 9th house. 10th is the karma aspect. So, 9th house is also the house of religion. So the native's profession also may have to do something with religion, with religious scriptures. 9th house is the house of spiritual knowledge also. His profession may be related to that, you can say. Or you can say his profession also, because 12th house is anyway the house of foreign land. 9th house is also the house of long travel. So the native may have to travel. He may have to undertake a long travel and settle down in a foreign land because of his profession mainly, or because of a change in his fortune. It could be even maybe after his marriage. Yes, after it is not only always profession. For his profession also he may go travel to a foreign land, or maybe after marriage. That is also change of fortune. 9th house is the house of fortune. So after marriage, or for the sake of getting married also, the native may have to leave his or her native place and go to a foreign land and settle down there. And there the native may start his own work and adopts a new profession. That also we can say. And friends, 9th house so is the house of fortune. So the native will attain good fortune after the age of 35-36, because Saturn is also a planet of delay. Saturn will not deny, but it delays. Provided you are working hard and you are patient, then Saturn will definitely give you results over time. So the native will attain good fortune. If Saturn is not in good dignity, then the native, may not be very fortunate also. Because Saturn is not in good dignity, and if the native is also not working hard with a sense of discipline and patience, then how can Saturn bless the native with good fortune? That is why, friends, I always tell you, even if the dignity of Saturn is not so good, we can't do anything about it, no? We were, at the time of our birth, that was the situation of planets in the celestial sky. We don't have any authority or, influence over that. But we have influence over our actions, no? We can change our actions. We have control over that. So please be hardworking. Be diligent. Be patient. Yes, hardworking doesn't mean you have to forget your duties. No, Saturn is also the planet of duty and responsibility. You work hard, but also you have to be dutiful towards your family. Then you will see Saturn, along with time, will give you very good results, no matter in what dignity it is sitting in the 12th house. And the native will become fortunate also over time. If Saturn is in good dignity, then after the age of 35, the native will definitely become very dutiful towards his father. Initially the native maybe had some difference of opinion, maybe, with the father. And the native will not believe in the elaborate rituals also of, because Saturn's aspect is there. The elaborate rituals that are followed in any religion, the native may not follow that. But the native may believe in social service. The native may believe in serving the poor and needy, in serving humanity. If Saturn is in good dignity in the 12th house. He also may believe in meditation. Yes. So all these things will happen if Saturn is, now casting the 10th aspect on the 9th house. If Saturn is not in good dignity in the 12th house, then relationship with the father will not be good. Father represents the sun in your horoscope. So if one does not, look after one's father, then sun can never give you good results. Sun is responsible for all success and prosperity in life. Sun. So that is why you have to look after your father. Yes, then only, your fortune will smile upon you. Then friends, let us go to Saturn's quickly 11th aspect, which will fall on the 10th house. 10th house is the house of profession also. Yes. Even 10th house is also considered to be the house of promotion in profession, rise in also social status, establishing your social status, earning name, fame, prosperity, social recognition. All that is seen from the 10th house. There may be some delay in that. But remember, Saturn does not deny, but some delay may be there. Yes. So if the native continuously keeps working hard, then definitely if he keeps making efforts along a proper direction with a certain goal in mind, because Saturn wants you to be far-sighted, goal-oriented and disciplined, then definitely along with time, Saturn will give you good results, and all good results pertaining to your profession, to your career, Saturn will give you, and the native will also be able to establish his social, he'll be his social status, and he'll also be able to gain social recognition and position in society. Now friends, Saturn's last aspect will fall on the 11th house. 11th house is again the house of gains from your profession, gains from your interpersonal relationships. It is the house of all your desires, your wishes, your hopes, your dreams, aspirations, ambition, 11th house. So again, there may be some delay in all that. But after the age of 35, 36, all your desires will be fulfilled. Most of your desires are granted after the age of 35, 36. Yes, provided you make efforts, provided you work hard, and provided you are disciplined. And also, you will attain all kinds of gains, in life, and your relationship with your elder siblings will improve, with your friends will improve, with the people in your social network, your relationship with them also will improve. Yes, so if Saturn is not in good dignity in the 12th house, and if the native is also not hardworking and diligent and patient, then the native, may not be able to see those gains in his life. He may not be able to see that rise in his income. So that is why it is always advised that in order to get all good results from the planet Saturn, because Saturn is a planet of justice and karma, so you have to believe in hard work, you have to believe in patience, perseverance, then Saturn will definitely give you good results. Friends, do subscribe to my channel and share this video. Thank you so much.